There we go. I'll call this meeting of the Village of Cold Spring Planning Board to order. I've got no broad comment. Does anyone have any agenda items they would like to add or modify?
No,
Not me.
Okay. We can move on to the main business of the evening, which is change of use for 37 Main Street. From retail to restaurant. And yeah, Ben, did you want to highlight something before we get going?
yeah, so just in the interest of full disclosure, I've known Brian Tolmie for about 10 years, and through Cub Scouts. I also am friends with one of the shareholders in this project. You know, I can safely say that, you know, that's not going to influence my independence or impartiality in the decision making or how I work on this. Everyone's comfortable with that? Yeah.
I think in a village. Good.
Jonathan, you comfortable with that?
Sorry, yeah, yep. Thanks, Ben.
Well, thank you.
All right, Brian, are you going to be just kind of presenting to the board tonight?
Yeah.
Okay,
I would
great.
love to. Getting
I know you're familiar with the process, just for your own benefit. So this is basically just discovery in preparation for public hearing and make sure we understand the project, the scope, we have the documents. If we feel like, once we feel like we're either have everything we need or we're close enough to having everything we need, that we can go ahead and schedule a public hearing, we'll do so. You'll send out notices to surrounding residents about the change of use. We'll get it posted in the paper record, which I think is the paper record now. So
The 50 Journal.
it's the 50 Journal. It's the 50 Journal now. not the-
PCNR, Frequency Journal, and whatever else.
Okay.
applies.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the PCNR.
And you'll post a sign at the site. All right.
Actually still have the last one that I can make it.
Great. Why don't you lead us through it?
Great. So would you mind readmitting it? I'm trying to thing. Okay. Not gonna give audio here. I can share a screen here. Oh, I can send a request to share a screen.
Request granted. There you go.
Here. Okay, there we go. Okay. Wonderful. So this is for 37 Main Street, which we all often know as the Tyvek building for the last decade plus. We have since taken said Tyvek off and are attempting to restore the property to a lot of historic condition. One of the things for clarity, I bought the entity that had it, so there's not a newly recorded deed. So I now have the entity. So that was one question that had come up. I do have the deed. It's from 1983. If we need reference to it.
I think, does Abigail have a copy of that?
I brought one for you if you don't already have one. Would you like one?
Yes.
Yes. Here you are. And I can send it digitally too if you want that. Yes, okay, got it. So
No.
An introduction, brief overview of the building and the history. It served as a variety of uses over a long period of time. It's actually got some really cool history. I won't bore you here with this. If you want to have the rest of the history, I'm happy to go into it. But there's a lot of sort of interesting history to the property, including, there are things that were restored in the property that now sit at the Smithsonian and other cool museums around the country because of some of the interesting work that was done. It has been in, sort of good ownership, but bad repair and falling into disrepair for quite a number of years here in the village, in part due to a handful of circumstances with the prior owner. I purchased it a bit ago and have been going through the process of figuring out what we were going to do with it as property. For a while, tried to work closely with the village and explore the idea of creating a visitor center here. I brought that proposal that I can sort of walk you through. We couldn't get to that successful juncture, but tried to put, quite a number of months and dollars and effort to doing that as an even better access vehicle and resource for the village and sort of the population, especially at the crossroads that this building sits at next to the railroad tracks
Yeah.
and the underpass, the loop, and sort of all these sort of interesting points of intersection. And when that, after nearly a year of sort of effort at trying to get that to work, didn't come to pass, I had to sort of pivot to other use of the building. And so I started interviewing tenants and have gotten to the point that we have agreed, and as I was referencing earlier, I can now share, it would be Angie's Bakery, which is located up here on Main Street, a little bit further up the hill. They'll be relocating down to take over the what is the first floor space of the building. And so that overview, if I sort of go in here, that brings us to a point that we need to request a change of use. And we believe that this property, which is currently zoned B1, general business, would be a really great resource as a restaurant. The bones, the shape, the spacing, the sizing of the building fit very well for all of these purposes. It has a really great vibe and feel. I don't know, I invite any planning board members to come. I'm happy to sort of I know you can't have a quorum off-site, but happy to do it in individual capacity, or Ross can do a tour of the building. But it's going to have a really great feel inside. It's really beautiful historic bones and structures inside. We're actually keeping a lot of the machine equipment that was used in the building, and that will stay in the building and be part of sort of the demonstration of the building. We're going through, so the proposal and sort of our planned use helps ensure both existence of this longstanding business in town, Angie's, and sort of its expansion and things, as well as this longstanding property, and bringing it back to life and making it a really beautiful hub for a lot of engagement and activity. And I'll get into some of that here in a little bit. And I will mention, it's not really in here, but I'm more than happy to go into more detail on this. That we're doing, a lot of what, for me, a personal passion is sustainability. And so a lot of what we're doing in the building is very focused on sustainable redevelopment of a historic building. We've been working with Building 451, one of the foremost national experts in renovating historic buildings. We are utilizing some of their proprietary products, insulation methodologies, construction methodologies that are sort of, they've been doing a lot of R&D into creating the most cutting edge ways to take existing and historic buildings and bring them into sort of modern insulation, energy efficiency standards without doing what, for many buildings, for many property owners, is that, well, this is old, we're going to tear it down, and then we'll use all these new really cool cutting edge materials. But from a sustainability standpoint, that's actually pretty terrible, both from the destruction, the landfill, as well as all the new production materials that are put in. And so we'll be featuring in the restaurant, we'll be featuring a lot of this and having cut-ins to the wall that sort of demonstrate how we did these things, where we didn't, this building was known as the Tyvek building because it doesn't have what in modern standards is a vapor barrier. And so we did this really innovative thing that will be an interior vapor barrier, so we didn't have to destroy all the historic siding on the property. I know some of this is more the purview of sort of the HDRB and that stuff, but I still find it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely.
Okay. So some of the getting into the rationale for the change of use. And let me need to just minimize this so I can see my own notes here. So, our rationale here is both the activation of a long neglected property. We sort of talked about this at a high level. We think that a bake shop and cafe will, while it, building it out is a substantial investment for building this large of a space out for it. It will create a really wonderful community gathering space that sits at this hub intersection. We've got a proven operator, Angie's Bakery. I haven't ever heard a lick of a bad word ever once from anyone about how that business operates, how the proprietors, engage with their customers and the community and all those kind of things. And I think they're a really wonderful couple, and they treat their staff well and their customers well, and I'm excited to help give them a larger canvas to sort of build their business on. The forward, there we go. I think there's an alignment with community and visitor need. I think the property sits at the nexus of a place where we could create what is sort of called a third space, a space outside your home and outside your work, where you can come together, interact with other community members. And for me, and this is a big part of my proposal and conversations with the trustees and sort of that pursuit to create a village activity community space. What I see here is the opportunity to actually create interaction that is warm and positive between visitors to our community and the residents of our community, and have that place that is the cheers kind of place, that very local and familiar place that is also large enough that can handle a positive type of engagement with visitors, where it can sort of handle the size of things. Whereas some of our other restaurants in town are small enough that when visitors are in town, residents can't get in, right?
Yeah.
And I think this actually creates the sizing and spacing where routinely we'll be able to have both. And I think that actually helps break down some of those barriers when we're interacting with, sitting next to the people that in some other instances are considered the them in an us them dynamic. Safe, welcoming, and accessible space. We will prioritize safety, accessibility, warm atmosphere, helping project. It's sort of the first thing you see as you come to the village, right? And I will share as a sort of anecdote, many of you probably saw, I put up the QR code survey on the side of the building with paint sampling. We sort of went through a community engagement activity. We got hundreds of responses to that. And there were some interesting responses to that I wasn't expecting and were really enlightening, and I'm pleased to be addressing, which came from some individuals. I got two of these different responses that reference that when they get off the train and walk down the sort of pathway from the train station into the village, it's not just that it's dark there and there's some lighting there, and that there's sort of the woods. Their biggest concern that they're very excited to have go away is that there is a vacant building sitting there from a safety perspective and from the being taken in there and bad things happening kind of perspective. And that wasn't a kind of feedback that I was expecting on a colored paint survey.
Yeah.
But getting two of those things that were filled with gratitude around that really opened my eyes to something that I hadn't perceived as a source of threat or danger, but clearly is. And so I think us creating a well-lit, safe space, activated community, so that as you come into the village, you feel some of the village, right? There's this concept in architecture as you sort of enter a space, you want to sort of open up to it gradually and not have it all hit you at once. And right now you come down this sort of green chute on the walkway, and then you step out and you're almost stunned, oh, I'm in the village and where do I go? And we all witnessed it.
Yeah.
Everyone stands there and sort of ponders. And we believe we can sort of open that up and sort of create what is a little bit more transitionary vibe and feeling as you come off the train. Okay. Strengthening the village's economic and social fabric. I think that the cafe will help increase pedestrian traffic in a good way and sort of allow people to have a space to go into as opposed to sort of the milling that happens there. As well as help encourage longer dwell time. So there's just having them come be here and be in our village and visit a business that, that's locally owned, that has the capacity to handle some of our surge of visitor population, as well as serving, our existing residents, tourists, and just sort of, I feel like we do have a downtown sort of Main Street revitalization that's been going the last few years. And I think this is one of the buildings that, doing what we're doing with the building, helps move forward that thing. Benefits to the village, revitalization of a key property, support for the local institution, economic multiplier, just bringing in more visitors, sales tax. I think we're all very happy about the recent sales tax ruling at the county level. Community anchor and sort of a gateway enhancement as people come to the village discovery. So now I've got, you have large prints that I mentioned before everyone had gathered. Hudson Design turned in all the large prints. I've got things here that are sourced from those things, but some zoomed in, some arrows. So it's a little bit like a way of helping present the information. So we've got the full survey, right? Sort of seeing the whole parcel. I will mention, we have submitted a request to purchase 2 adjacent parcels from the village. That are that's who's doing it on screen, yes. That are this section up here, where there are a whole bunch of those sort of like signs and flags that are popped up.
Yeah.
For some other businesses. And then, there's my mouse, and then this section here, which is on the front or Main Street side, is, as many businesses, it's currently owned by the village, even though the stoop
Yeah.
sticks out into it.
Yeah.
I've offered to purchase it from the village, and doing so in both cases, remove the liability, shift the liability over to me and my insurance, shift maintenance over to me and my maintenance. As well as allow me to sort of renovate it and bring it fully up to snuff. As you all are probably aware, there's a large sort of construction project happening here at this intersection corner for the new handicap access to from a side road, not me, but the village is
Yeah.
doing construction project there. The tree's been removed. And I've spoken with the crew doing it. We will be, seeking to match the pavers and everything to sort of flow seamlessly into what is the new construction as
Right.
well as over into our project.
Does that include like kind of an ADA entrance there, or?
The plan is, yes, to do so. I'll step back and give you a macro topic and then come back to answer that micro question. So we are approaching this property from sort of a 2-phase approach. There's a lot to do here, as you can all sort of imagine just knowing it. And so what's in front of you, both on the table and in this presentation, this conversation, is using the existing entrance to the building as the main entrance to the business. Phase 2, after we hopefully secure a purchase from the village of that front piece along Main Street, this section here facing Main Street, is to build a sort of a stoop in that front section.
Yeah.
Which will be full ADA accessible from the sidewalk,
Yeah.
and from those things. And we've done all the laser line level analysis, all the schematics. They're not with you because they're for a future step, meaning like a year or more down the road. But it will create ADA accessibility into the building. And as you'll see for our work inside the building, we're doing ADA accessibility inside the building in anticipation of what we know we will be doing outside the building
Yeah.
in a year or so.
I'm curious about the timing there. Like what's drawing it toward a year versus now?
Sooner.
Yeah.
The honest answer is I'm happy to go as fast on phase 2 as possible.
Yeah.
With the need to go fastest on phase 1 and the step in the process to get to phase 2 to be going to the village to purchase the parcel. And then what is the larger construction piece that is ADA accessible. And there's a little bit of a complexity to it. I don't know if you want me to go all the way into the weeds here, but there is a cellar entrance here.
Uh-huh.
And so we've done a really good job, I think, of designing a pretty nifty way that it will still be a stoop, have historic look and feel, be HDRB happy and
Yeah.
supported, we believe.
Yeah.
While still accessing the cellar with this sort of interesting, cool technology piece that I can't describe it easily here, and like visuals are sort of needed, but essentially it's sort of like in New York City where there are open ups, but there's safety pieces to it.
Uh-huh.
We're sort of building it into the stoop in a way that makes it look like you don't see it until it transforms and opens up.
Uh-huh.
And so both the purchase of the front piece and then the construction and engineering of that custom piece to do the front
Yeah.
are the pieces that feed into that. It could be as quick as 6 months.
Yeah.
It's probably more like just being reasonable
Yeah.
about timelines. It's probably more like next summer that we're opening up that front, which does include also coming back before the fall.
Jonathan, question for you on like sequencing and timing. I know that we've had other applications before us where there was a purchase of the stoop area from the village as a part of the project, but had not yet completed. I can't remember, did we include conditions in the approval? Because like, there's a bunch of like interconnected facts here about like the exact, like details of the site plan and the purchase of that and what's your, remind me, what have we done in the past about that?
I don't remember for that particular application if we did include a petition or not. I don't, yeah, condition. I don't remember if it was really much of an element of the site plan, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we could do as part of the decision.
And just for point of clarity, what I put forward in your sort of this phase
Yeah.
doesn't require that purchase. So everything you see and
Sure,
doesn't
understood.
require that.
Understood. I think there's, right, there's I like have no reason to doubt any of your sincerity about moving forward on the ADA compliance. I think there's questions about like, those are things that we care about on this board and trying to figure out how we can make sure, you know, we're doing a reno building, we're adding restaurant access. We want to be as accessible as possible, especially given how inaccessible so many of the buildings are in the village. And so I just want to make sure that where we can connect the dots more explicitly that we do. So that's something that maybe John and I can talk about to figure out what can be done there. Okay, so I think I interrupted you, but go on.
Your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here's, this is a zoomed in part, so I didn't have to do zooming. I did the zooming. Here's, technically the site plan for what we're looking at right now, right? We've just sort of discussed some things that are phase 2. What is phase 1 is shown here. This you have in large format in front of you, but I'll just sort of zoom it in. It's the existing entrance and the building sitting in the footprint that it is sitting in now. So there's not really anything exciting there. The elevation side of the building, broadly speaking, and I will also mention, sort of share here, there was some recent confusion by the code enforcement officers and someone filed a complaint that we had already started replacing all the windows. We had not. And I think the confusion stemmed from 2 parts. One, the prior owners who put in windows 20-something years ago still have the stickers in the windows. They crumble in your fingers because they're 25-year-old windows. So I think that was one part. And then the other part is on one of the walls, there are
Watchful citizen.
Yes, exactly. And then the other part, I think, was that there are some openings in one of the walls that look like we punched holes and put up plywood. We didn't do that. That was a pre-existing condition under Tyvek and other things. So like we just uncovered and unveiled it. But right.
Yeah.
My God, my wife has a bagel sitting on our trampoline right now. She really wants raccoons on her trampoline. If you haven't seen that video, it's okay. She's gonna hate me for saying that on public TV or public access.
You can just go into AI and make it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what you see here on this sort of elevations is essentially no real change to the exterior of the building, right? At least on these sides, the existing windows, existing access points. The only change that we're doing, and again, these are in your large format, I will zoom in here though, is putting in sconces here. So those are sconces, and then electrical outlets here. And then stone cladding along the base in historic stone. And we sort of provided, and we're going through the HDRB process with, all the technical details of all the items that are on the exterior.
Okay, great. Yeah, I noticed that that wasn't mentioned in the referral, so I didn't know if you guys have been referred there or not.
Yep.
The top one is Lund Terrace and
No, this is, so the top one is the full backyard, like opposite Main Street.
oh, okay,
And then this is facing the railroad tracks or the
okay.
facing
Okay.
west. So
So the top one says east on it, doesn't it? Underneath proposed east elevation, so that, oh,
yeah, I think that's,
okay.
it does say that. And I guess I'm referring to them in the way I think about compass directions. I think of the river as north-south in like a just mental default.
Sure.
But maybe this actually is, I trust Hudson Design, it might be slightly more east in one fashion or another,
Okay.
but
So the bottom elevation is.
is the side,
The right-hand side would be on Main Street. Yeah.
yep. So you can sort of see the cornice up here.
Yeah.
Right, and this is the front side, yep. And then this is the front of the building that we sort of all recognize. And again, no major exterior changes, other than lighting, the sconces and electrics, and new windows here, but replacing and matching the form, shape, and style of the existing windows. Cool. And then these more historic windows, we're doing repair work to, but keeping them these pretty cool historic windows. Okay, and then
So what are the big doors gonna be used for, or if or anything?
right now, nothing.
Okay.
Light, air.
Okay.
We're repairing them to just bring them up to like clean and tidy standard.
But will they open?
They open now, yeah, and they
Okay.
will continue. Yeah.
And but, so like, it almost like like a loading area, or?
Right.
Okay.
And then this is the Lund Terrace facing side. So if you're facing the building, here's the front, here's the cornice. This is over to your left side,
Yeah.
on the Lund Terrace side. Here we are, what we've chosen to do is place windows in a more uniform pattern. Right now it is a fairly chaotic pattern of how the windows are sitting there now. And we went with a more standardized sort of and more uniform spacing, height alignment, and ratios. All the windows are matching the existing windows.
So you're punching in for.
We are punching in to bring them into matching alignment. Yeah. Because it's, I mean, for me, it's the way I think about it is it's a wall that everybody in the village sees all the time.
This is gonna be.
This is like
It's the hero.
one of the most, this is the hero wall, right? And so we just want it to look crisp and nice. And, you know, I study architecture. There's a lot to proportion and symmetry that pleases us as a species. And so we're trying to bring that to this wall without changing it and making it something else. Make sense?
How big are the floors?
The ground floor is about 2,000 square feet, or the main floor, first floor, is about 2,000 square feet. And then upstairs is smaller. It's 13 or 1,400. I don't have it on the upstairs.
Both will be used for the restaurant, just one?
Just the
Okay.
first floor. Yeah. So here's, again, I'm just zooming in to make it a little bit easier to
Do
read.
you have that square footage on any of these?
Yeah, it's here. I'm giving you rounded numbers, but so here, like, come on, mouse. The restaurant shows 1,458. For this portion, 140. So you have to add all these together. But it comes up with I think it's 2,078.
If you could add that.
Yeah.
Just that total, so we don't have to do the math.
Totally.
Sorry if I could just interrupt too. So I see in the application, it says that the ground floor and basement, will be used.
Mhm.
Do you have a floor plan for the basement as well?
I don't in this. We're not rearranging or changing anything.
It's okay. The main thing is when we do a use analysis, one of the things is for parking, for
Yep.
example, we need to know the total square footage that's gonna be
Yep.
in service of the use, so that we
Yep.
can know what parking is required.
Oh, and the basement counts towards that too.
If it's gonna be used for the restaurant, then yes,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Well, you'll see later, I ran some of the math already.
Okay.
I didn't include that.
Okay.
Just not aware, but I'm happy to update it and
Okay.
include that.
Great.
Yep. So good call, Jonathan. Happy to add it sort of into this for the public session period.
Do we have to do anything about the second floor for parking?
There's no use for it, so until it has a use,
Okay.
there's, but it would,
But he's gotta come back for a use on the second floor?
Maintaining current use. on the site.
what is the current use?
There's an apartment and a few offices.
I see.
I'm just maintaining current use.
I see. So there are, that's a good question. So we do have current uses which do have current parking requirements, though presumably we don't have a previous site plan for those.
From a date perspective, I would guess not.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, in the case where we don't have a previous site plan that we're kind of amending with this additional use, this change of use, which is in addition to a set of existing uses, how should we reason about the parking requirements for the unchanging existing uses?
So for the existing uses, we just treat those as basically pre-existing non-conforming. We don't have to look at
Okay,
that.
great. Cool.
Cool, yeah, keep going. Cool. Okay, so sort of zooming back in here, we've got two added bathrooms here. Sort of a coffee bar where the, staff would work back here. The ADA bathroom is here where there's an existing bathroom and we're just modifying it to fit ADA compliance. And then very similar, again, I appreciate Angie and Ken letting me speak openly about who's going here, because I can now reference you to how the front of Angie's Bakery is set up now.
Right.
They're sort of replicating it here, right,
Okay.
from a layout perspective. So if you can envision yourself in that one, it's very similar here. There's a kitchen in the back, separated with some equipment, and then sort of a staff prep space separated by a piece of furniture that sort of is a decorative historic piece of furniture. And then front sort of till space with a counter where they sort of come bring you up and handle things across the counter.
Gotcha.
I will mention, I think this is sort of cool. There's a lot of historic, 100-year-old timbers that were in the basement that we're using to create many of the furniture pieces in here. So in addition to, all the beams remaining original, all the, sort of all the structural remaining original, a lot of it's showcasing a lot of the historic equipment use. We're also bringing some of these historic wood pieces and using them to create the furniture in the space, that kind of stuff. Okay, and we're keeping the floors, the very interesting engineered floor, because it had like chunks of train, like train engines were brought in there to be refinished and refurbished and that kind of stuff. And so it is a very interesting floor. I can describe this construction method, but it can handle almost anything from
Sure.
a weight perspective. And so we're keeping it in that fashion because it just feels different than when you walk on a normal wood floor.
Sure.
It has no flex.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is the quick skinny here. Happy to go through answer
Are there
questions or. Yeah, go.
going to be seating?
Yeah, I've got that. That's shown on a next
Okay,
one.
okay. And where's the front door?
Although maybe that's better for everyone's health if we don't allow any seating.
The top left.
Yeah, up here.
Okay, so that's Main Street there, okay,
Okay,
okay.
anything else?
Okay.
Now this one is a little confusing because it's both lighting and seating. So I apologize, it's a little confusing. I can ask Hudson to do one that's only one versus the other. You can see the seating, sort of the tables that we saw before, and then these little rounds here. Confusing because all the lighting is.
The cross, those are like cross beams where lights are hanging from. The cross cutting.
These?
Yeah.
Correct, those are
Yeah.
existing, yeah.
Those are like ceiling
Yes,
beams.
ceiling beams, yes, correct, yep. And these are vertical columns here.
Yeah.
Showcasing these. So there's essentially this long table here, sort of a communal table style, another long communal table, two little cafe tables, a few against the window wall. I think this one is meant to be removed because of the access here. So that one won't be there, and then this one here.
Okay.
And then the lighting, as the lighting is shown.
Just curious, the entryway, I mean, the entryway is very small. I know we have the double doors. I'm curious, like, if this thing is at capacity, people are gonna be able to get out, they need to.
Yeah, there's a second exit here on the rear.
Okay.
So there's two means of ingress and
Gotcha,
egress.
gotcha.
And actually, you can actually go to the basement and come out the basement entrance as well.
Okay.
So there's a third. And then in the long run, as we've sort of referenced before, phase 2 will have this larger access entrance that is those loading dock doors.
Okay.
That will be an even more cohesive in and out.
Okay.
Good.
Are there thoughts about outdoor seating? Because right now Angie's, I guess, has very little inside seating and mainly tables outside, uses the sidewalk, so. Where's the thought that food will be consumed inside?
I think so in this phase that's before you now, we anticipate indoor seating and not outdoor seating. We do, however, under phase two, per the, discussion, once we've acquired the additional land for the village and built the stoop and create outdoor, so we do plan to add and create outdoor seating.
So the stoop is right now in exclusive, the modifications of the stoop are exclusive to phase two.
Is there space would there be room for outdoor seating on the railway side? And then,
We'll get into that a little bit. It's sort of a roadway kind of thing. I think there is space there and could be additional seating. We'll sort of talk to my perspective on the parking analysis, but I don't think it is not much like sort of behind Le Bouchon was. It's not viable for safe customer vehicular access. Staff, residents there can like use it in a safe way, but the sort of standards for customers coming in and out of a parking area, I'm sort of jumping ahead a little bit. But so it means that it probably will still be a driveway that's used as a driveway, but not a driveway for customer parking. Okay. So you could put tables and chairs there, but I don't think they will be there.
We don't distinguish between customer and staff parking, so, but the requirements are meant to kind of be all encompassing.
Yeah. Good?
Yeah.
Wait. Just parking analysis. Ben, you were leading right into this. So the width sections here, I'll sort of zoom this up. Well, I'll start here on the left. We're all familiar with this here. This driveway entrance point has both existing pedestrian, the staircase, sidewalk, and the rail station access sort of all happening right there. And then if we go look here, I don't know if you can see this number, but this is 10.1 feet. And this is 9.9 feet here. My middle box is a reference to the curb cut. So the curb cut is below sort of standard, safety standard and in national standards, there is a distinction. It may not be at village code level, but there is a distinction at the national level between staff access or professional access, meaning garbage trucks versus customers, right? Who are sort of coming and going, and there's different standards used for those. So this falls under the customer standard, the sort of, pedestrian, but in a car standard, but above but sufficient for actual use for sort of what, familiar parties. And then we get to sort of the pinch point of this road, and it's too narrow for vehicular traffic, again, based on national standards for customer use, where they're coming and going at their sort of own whim versus knowing the space and a regular user of the space. So while there's sort of space back here and there can be some parking, and that's what happens.
Jonathan, I think, what is it 10 feet? What's the spec on the driveway width?
I believe it is 10 feet, yeah.
What is the width here?
It's 9.9 is the smallest, 10.1 is the largest. I think it might be 12 for non-residential use. So Jonathan, I don't want to challenge you, but it may be worth double checking that.
It could be, yeah.
Do people park back there now?
Yeah, I mean, not broadly speaking, but yes.
Okay.
Right. But it's, it's not, this is just my personal commentary.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable as a business or, as a property owner, creating routine traffic intersection at this point in the village.
that is dangerous.
I
agree.
I think-
Really uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I'm the person who loves parking, so.
Yeah. So that's just, oops, sorry, go for it. Sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
And then now I had done this based on, and I didn't realize the basement square footage counted, so pardon that my math is incorrect, but I think I've otherwise done the math correctly here. Can update it to have the basement square footage, following current code, 1 space per 3 seats, 40-seat restaurant, do the math, I rounded up, and comes out at the current estimated amount.
I thought we were on square footage now.
Yeah, I think that could be the old code you're looking at, Brian.
Okay, and I may have, maybe when I was doing it before, it was this, and now it's.
Maybe,
Okay.
we simplified a bunch of things, so it's, we'll double check, but,
Yeah.
but for other restaurant uses, it's, 6 spaces per 1,000
Yeah.
square feet, yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah, so it's gonna be about what you,
About the same.
yeah, about to say, but let's get the actual, square footage and
Yeah,
we'll do the
I guess,
calculation.
my statement here is, I recognize that, I'm not pushing back against it.
Yeah.
You know, as I actually said to Jamie at Hudson Design earlier, like, I believe that we need parking and we need to fund parking, like,
Yeah.
I might be the only person that happily pays the fee when I park on Main Street.
I'll ask applicant happily paid, when you.
Right, no, I was saying, well, yeah,
Yeah.
which I was pleased that he said, it's like, no, I'm good, and
Yeah,
you had, you know, the other member who was like, no, we got it, and it was like, no, he's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think parking is a challenge in our village, and I believe in trying to.
Sure,
I do think, just doubling down, I do think that that's a really tricky intersection. I sort of think about someone coming off the train, maybe at a cocktail, something in the city. Someone's coming up late at night, they're doing the best to travel safely, it's waiting for,
yeah, I mean, I think that, like, so with the parking, it's tricky on this one because it is ostensibly being used by people who are skilled at navigating the challenging space, right? And, but I think there are questions that I have about whether the dimensional requirements for a drive and for parking spaces are met from a perspective of figuring out how many spaces we have and how many we need. Jonathan, if we have a portion of the drive that's non-conforming, does that kind of preclude the availability of spaces in the back or not?
So I think it probably would. So I'm looking at the code now, and the access lane has to be 10 feet wide. So I think if it's 9.9 feet, it probably would preclude treating any spaces in the back as parking. Maybe you can remeasure and it's 0.1 foot larger. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're talking, I mean, I would assume based on this, we could get, what, maybe 5 spaces max back there?
So I don't have it here.
Yeah.
But I did sort of the same as I did behind Bouchon, an
Yeah.
analysis, including like, so when you have this kind of flow, according to like national standards, you have to like be able to pull it, even though Ross and I can jockey our car around
Yeah.
differently, like the national standards are, you have to be able to pull in straight into the sort of the 90, and then back out and pull your car back around. So there's really only space for, is one car space that meets the requirements. You can sort of, if we cut into this is sort of a rock embankment here.
For better or worse, I don't think we have those requirements in our village code.
Right,
Yeah.
he may be lighter, and so
Yeah,
maybe we, so that in that case, maybe it is 2, 3, 4.
I think at the end of the day, I think, like, my perspective, if the current site plan says that we're non-conforming, it's really a matter of, I think there's a path. If we want to see if that 9.9 holds, if we do another measurement, there's a path to potentially,
Reduce the offsite requirement.
just do some, just like, because like to offset them to some degree.
Mhm.
But you can always just seek all the waivers and say, hey, it's 9.9, you can't really drive back there, there's not enough space to turn around. I think that I'm comfortable with either direction personally, so it's really kind of up to you about how you want to approach the parking.
I guess I might answer the question with a question, which
Yeah.
is the way, for a statement followed by a question. The way I think about it, the better thing to do as a community member and citizen is to pay for all the waivers, even if there can be a couple cars parked here and like sort of taken off street and off the municipal lot thing, and like, and on occasion that will happen. It's like the better thing to do. It's like the more beneficial thing is sort of a local business thing. And so that's the way I lean, assuming I'm looking at the question the right way. That's where I would then turn to, am I looking at the question the right way?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's up it's up to you to decide how many waivers you would like to ask for, right? Like, you can ask for all the waivers or, you know, some
Some if there's-
portion of it, if you have something you can leverage. So I think, you know, in other situations, forgetting this particular site, in a situation where there was 5 obvious
Mhm.
spots that could be used and the applicant was seeking a waiver of all of them
Mhm.
for whatever reason, that would probably, I mean, John, we would still have to make the referral for the amount they requested, but we would probably include some spicy comments about
Right.
how many should be actually granted.
And then on the flip side, we've had other applications where the property had it had physical space to park cars, but it didn't meet the code's requirement for parking spaces. So that I think factored into the board's favorable recommendation that even though, you know, there aren't any uppercase off-street parking spots, there is some room. So that kind of lend
Right,
lend
and that's
itself
context,
to.
that's context we would include in our referral. We basically
Mhm.
say, hey, you know, the site plan suggests that, you know, there maybe you could imagine potentially having parking back there, but after discussion, you know, decided it was not safe and were challenging to navigate, and so we're recommending
Yeah.
you know, the format. So it's all good context for us to have. I think at the end of the day, if it's simpler to just ask for the full, then we can just pursue that.
Yeah, my sense is it's simpler and it's the more generous thing I'm doing vis-a-vis the village from a couple perspectives. So that's my deference, is to do things if I'm in the more warm and community member way, assuming that I'm reading the nuance there correctly. Like you referenced spicy comments in the referral. I wouldn't want a spicy comments.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to do anything that deserves.
of course. Yeah,
I'm a spicy comment guy.
yeah,
I try to avoid them.
yeah.
And is there any, has there been any conversation about blowing off parking there and contemplating that long-term as a outdoor seating area?
I think that's potential in the long run. I think that, you know, for Angie's, the business, the space that they're stepping into is already a very sizable growth of space. In terms of like, what are they servicing and supporting, right? You know, like, I don't know exactly how many seats they have, but like a 4-seat restaurant or 6-seat kind of cafe they have now, maybe with the outside, maybe it's 10 to 40 is essentially a 4 to 5xing, and I think there's some amount of growth curve for them to get to that point before they might consider going for outdoor seating. But I think the space is naturally suited to it, and it could conducively handle it extremely well. So I do think that the site between the building, the site, the location has that very strong potential.
So I think that the things we're missing so far, maybe you already have them somewhere else in the presentation, but we need locations of garbage.
So it's funny because on 7276, I came before you, you asked for that.
Yeah.
And when I was here for my first meetings, it actually was on the drawing, but I was flustered at the time.
Uh-huh.
And so I acknowledged that I needed to get
Oh,
it to, and then later that night I was like, oh, it's there.
Yeah.
And then earlier today, I was like, oh, crudders.
Yeah.
One thing that I
Yeah.
remember from last time that needed to be here didn't get added
Okay.
to the drawings you got.
Okay.
So I will get you the new drawings that have that.
Great.
It might be helpful to talk through it a little bit though,
Sure.
if you know where it is.
Yeah.
Back here, actually, this might be the easiest one. So the dumpsters would sit in the back here, right? So again, just to orient you, Main Street's up over here in front of the building. So the dumpsters would sit back here and be wheeled up to be collected up here front. So again, sort of a reason that this, to your question earlier, you know, will still be a used driveway for like moving things around as opposed to becoming sort of cafe space.
Yeah. Can you be more specific about exactly where?
Where there's to be set.
Yes.
So the dump trucks, or not dump trucks, the garbage trucks currently back in here and pick up, you know, back here.
Okay.
They don't, you know, I think because it narrows in, both the building narrows in as well as the like sort of shrubbery
Sure.
kind of stuff. They don't want to back all the way back
I
here.
gotcha. So there's a process of wheeling things
Yeah,
out.
just sort
So where do they sit on, in the far back and then they get wheeled?
To
Okay,
like the mid.
okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, a thing I want to make sure we cover here, because I feel like for maybe a variety of reasons, we had a bit of a misstep across the street on this,
Yes. Well,
signage.
yes, and I actually prepared like a timeline in
Uh-huh.
case you wanted to go through it, because there was like sort of an accident. Do you want me to go through that? Or the
For this
72
property or
Yeah.
for,
No, for 72.
no.
Okay. I do.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, like, it's a condition of the approval,
Yeah.
so
And
we
I-
don't have anything more to do
Yeah.
with it, so
Yeah.
it's really,
What I can say to the board is it was entirely unintentional.
Yeah.
Just, missed.
Sure.
And then, but it is being fully addressed and solved for, and I already went before HDRB on it, fully
Right.
solved for it.
Right.
So I do apologize for like just missing it in the conditions at the time.
Yeah.
And time passing and
Yeah.
et cetera.
It happens.
but just want to make sure we cover it here. Any external signage?
So the current plan is, I haven't talked specifically with the tenant about exactly where they want signage.
Uh-huh.
I do think they will want signage on the front side of the building, and let me go here. So probably somewhere in this space.
Okay.
Is probably where they will seek to have signage. But I have definitely, having just gone before the HDRB, last week or maybe the week before.
Yeah.
On signage, I've read everything.
Okay.
Very closely. I
Yeah.
will help make sure that in this case, my tenant stays
Yes.
fully within all the rules of signage.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the signage code it's hard
Yeah.
to read.
Yes.
And I think even with the painted signage, it was hard for me to figure out exactly what was allowed and what was not allowed, so. Okay, so you're getting that detail, like, I guess the thing that will be important is if we can get those details
Mhm.
for the public hearing, great. If we can't, we'll just,
Leave it as a
we'll leave it as a condition and,
Then I will.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
Cool.
I will work on that.
What else do I have? Landscaping. Do we have any landscaping going on?
Right, let's go to. Back to the vertical. Here. So right now, there's activity happening, sort of village driven activity right now on the two wheel wells. I've been put in touch with our tree committee. So we'll be working on selecting where'd my mouse go, a new tree to go here.
Okay.
They just took this tree out, for the new sidewalk piece. We're gonna, we've cleaned up the, what is it right now? It is a brick, sort of just, it looks like a brick walkway next to the sidewalk in the
Yeah.
front of the building presently. We sort of like cleaned it up and like de-weeded it. It was, as you may recall, mugwort as tall as me kind of stuff. So cleaned it up. We similarly, we did take the ivy off the building. While ivy has a beautiful aspect to it, it can be really bad for buildings.
Yeah.
And so we did take it off. We did keep and have kept the sort of the ivy cover down here on the ground as a ground cover. We will be coming to put in a larger, we've got a water issue here in the village from a downhill flow perspective and all those kind of things. And so we will look to come and put in a proper French drain here at some point so we were doing, we sort of cleaned up all it's very pretty over here now. It was, I don't want to be disrespectful to the former owner. It was just overgrown. It's just
Sure.
very overgrown. So we're doing that.
My dog enjoyed that space.
Great. Similarly, we've sort of like cleaned up all back here, and things from a land. So that's sort of like what we've done so far. And generally speaking, that's what we're planning to do. We do plan to put in, when we are doing the work to, how do I say this, to create a level space. So, the point of where the sidewalk enters, where the sort of like the handicapped access point is, the sort of dip
Yeah.
or pivot in the sidewalk for
Yeah.
handicap accesses. That point is magically perfectly level with sort of the front and the side of the building here. And we plan to, as part of this sort of phase two, create essentially a flat ecosystem. So from that point here, you can come and go onto this space here, and we'll have like leveled it. And we would plan to do a little like a bluestone, and we got the pavers, the sample from, I think his name was John, who is sort of oversees like the village. I know, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it was John. Who oversees, he was running the backhoe, and he said, oh, here's the things, I'll give you the sample and drop it off. That like matches what other things have on village property, et cetera. So we'll be matching that for a little sort of walkway up against the building here.
That'll be over the French train?
Over the French drain, correct. Yep.
Brian,
So the-
can I jump in on this?
Yeah,
one?
please.
And if you're handling it later on, that's fine, but, this may also just be something for the public hearing or preparing for that, but, I'd love to sort of see sort of more detail and direction for the French drain. And then also carrying on from that, because we're all about, I guess the management of
water flow.
Water. So what's gonna happen off the roof of the building, and where does it go, and how are you abating that on the property?
So in phase two, so I'm happy to talk about it now, but it's sort of in my proposed phase two, is actually, you can sort of see over here on the right side, there's a catch basin that is capturing water, bringing water from sort of Rock Street and a handful of other directions, that comes down under Lunn, and then it's I don't know how to describe it right, but it's a pipe that comes out that has like sort of like an open concrete bowl for the water to just flow into, and then splash, and then get sort of caught to flow into the next pipe. I think, not an engineer, not a water expert, my unprofessional, so probably okay perspective is, I think that's one of the points in some of our water system that could use a next step upgrade as we're doing larger things around the village. And I'm comfortable putting forward that proposal, that I would be responsible for bringing the water from that French drain and the building to that point, but also taking care of upsizing and repairing and bringing that up to better snuff at my expense versus the villages.
Where are you gonna put the water though?
Oh, sorry, into that, so that's a drain pipe that continues, it's part of the larger village system that brings water down.
There's an elbow there, basically,
Yeah.
that juts off to the right.
Yeah, correct, so that's where the water would go, sorry, I didn't mean to not answer the question.
And it goes somewhere.
It goes into the larger village system, I don't know exactly where it goes from there.
So I think there's a presentation thing we need to solve a little bit about this phase one versus phase two, because I'm worried that if we need to treat them as totally separate, and we say, look, phase two it may happen, it may not happen. It's not in scope for this, and we evaluate this just as it is. That we're clear about that, and that it's clear to the public what it is we're actually talking about. And if we are thinking that we need tighter connection between phase one and phase two, that we resolve that. So, Jonathan, when you have phase projects like this, what are some approaches that people take to try to resolve the fact that you can only conceive of the project in its totality with both, like, considering what happens in both phases, but you don't want to be stuck doing piecemeal evaluations if you can't understand the project as a whole until you have both phases. So what are ways people approach that?
Right, so you can either do it separately, where you just do it one phase at a time, and you have your site plan approval for the property that is there now, and if and when the other property is acquired, you come back and just amend the site plan. Or there are phased approvals where you take everything into consideration and you have conditions, and the approval is worded in such a way that it considers the other phases, but usually you see that type of thing with bigger, more complicated projects.
Right.
So with a project like this, I have to think about how to word it in a way that makes sense.
My intent, the way I intended to sort of approach this was don't consider phase two, consider phase one. But I don't want to be dishonest or non-transparent.
Yeah.
Here's phase two.
No, I get that, and I think,
It's fine.
I think phase two items, as I've tried to sort of lay them out, I think I tried to organize it into phase one things, meet all the requirements, and I believe and hope up to your deference, set us up for success in all regards, irrespective of phase two. And then phase two items help further enhance, and especially for both use, accessibility, wastewater management,
Yeah.
there's a handful of things that are further enhancements that in phase two.
Yeah.
But I think I believe it still meets and still not only meets, but sort of supersedes requirements under just phase one.
I think we can proceed that way. I think what I want to just make sure that the documents we are presenting are really exclusively about phase one.
And I think I've done that.
Well, I think that there's in for example, just your description,
Right.
because
My
when
presentation.
we're describing this stuff, you're kind of flexing between phase one and phase two. And I appreciate that you're painting a good picture, right? Like the lovely picture for the public. And I think when you present in the public hearing, I would like to try to keep it really tight.
Yeah.
On phase one, and if you want to add a flourish at the end that says, okay, this is phase one, just so everyone knows, it's in the context of a larger project. We're going to do, all these fun things, but that's going to be later. Then
Okay. I like that.
you can communicate, but it'll be clear kind of what the public is kind of responding to. That's the most important thing. I don't want the public to be confused about exactly what they're commenting about.
Yeah. Okay.
And so with respect to that, when we talked about, the water stuff, and the, any external landscaping, that we're just like clear of like,
Yep.
is that now, is that later, just so we know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So, that would be my request there.
Okay. So on the water stuff, my understanding is, and it's really a question for the village engineer is, does the roof water and ambient water on the property need to be contained on the property? Or can it be put into like the public discharge system? And so that's just a question. And if it has to be contained on the property, then that goes into phase one.
Yeah,
So
correct.
And the other piece that's coming in, that's, someone else's water that's coming in, perhaps we can think about that as being phase two. But I don't know what the answer is. I'm just trying to sort of give you my logic with it.
Well, and that totally makes sense, and I'm fine with the way you said it. I will point this out just from like a topography perspective. Because of how the roof is pitched, and how the hill slopes down, the reason for the French drain here isn't water that falls on the property, water that falls down the hill.
Coming in down the hill.
That-
So you want to protect your property. Right?
So I'm creating a bulwark, sort of like hey,
Yeah.
here's where the water stops. And as it enters my property, it gets captured and goes into the village system. Versus I gathered water across my big roof, I only have a little bit of asphalt, but across these impermeable surfaces, and I collected it, and then I'm sticking it in the village system. Those parts of the water, the collected water, I'm fine keeping, essentially contending with on my own property. Yeah, and letting it go into permeable surface. Yeah.
Do you know how the property did 2 years ago?
Amazingly stayed dry. Now, this is my own commentary on the nature of where our weather patterns are going, but I'm worried that one 2 years ago wasn't the worst one.
Okay. No.
So I'm preparing for the next one.
Sure.
But to your question, great question. It actually fared well and stayed dry, and the way it had in part to do with just like how the water curled down the sidewalks and the road. So it's definitely at the bottom of the hill. There's no question about that. It got lucky.
And then you are gonna have a sidewalk cut, right?
There's one there now,
there
so I don't anticipate that will change the water.
Just one general question. The change of use, we haven't chatted about the change of use. Is that immaterial at all, or is it just?
Well, that's the triggering event here.
Right, but is that, something to chat about, or is the fact that it's changing from
Well, I guess,
general
is
use?
there something specific about the nature of the change versus just evaluating the new use
Right.
as a standalone thing? I think we talked a lot about the new use and the access and how people will be in the space and where they'll be sitting and where they will get served. And, but is there something specific about the shift that you're interested in?
No, actually not. It's just that we haven't chatted about that.
Okay.
We've been talking about the building and the square footage and the parking, but you know, the fact that it's actually changing, we haven't chatted about it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's complicated to think about the diff between an old use and a new use. But if we're talking about a new use, then we can kind of evaluate it on its own merits and like what are the things we need to be concerned about. So as an example with this, what are the intended hours of operation of
Right.
the restaurant?
7 AM to 6 PM.
7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Well, alcohol, so,
Not currently that I know of from the tenant. I think we're all excited about a good 7 AM getting on the train.
Yes, yeah.
Not for the people on the 651 though.
I'm happy to chat with Ken and Angie if 6:45, if the board will support it.
It's like set out a bunch of cups and just people.
Come on in.
Yeah.
They'll bite to open at 7, they're in there before.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a kind of curveball question. It's more really sort of more drawing Jonathan, and that is, I'm sure that's a very straightforward answer. And I know you're an insurance expert, so you know liability up and down. Is the Manitou Machine Works LLC? That's an LLC.
It's a C Corp.
It's a sequel, okay. So is that gonna be, like, just in terms of entity structure, is that gonna be purchasing the pieces from the village?
No, so we do, from an entity structure, we do have a new, and I've already formed them, I've already created bank accounts and all that kind of stuff. I do have a new LLC that I'll be transferring out of the current corp into a new clean LLC.
Okay, so while this is the applicant now, it won't be the applicant, it won't be the operator.
Exact same ownership.
Right.
With the difference being just a change in entity, but not change in beneficial. So no change in beneficial ownership. I'm waiting to do that until after I go through this process. So there's no change in who the owners are at all, only a change in the entity level that is the on title deed record owner.
Okay, then, but it'll only just be the one entity that owns the current property and then makes new purchases.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So Jonathan, are you comfortable with that from a liability perspective?
Yeah, that's really beyond the scope of site plan review for the most part. That's kind of the owner's prerogative. So it's not something we really have to worry about.
Cool.
All right, well, I mean, that's all the questions I have. Jonathan, did you have anything else that was top of mind for you?
No, I think tonight's presentation pretty much covers everything. And I think procedurally, if the board's comfortable, you could go ahead and schedule a public hearing.
Yeah, I think with the notes given about some additional things to provide, some additional detail and making sure we separate those things out. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that. So, shall we look at the calendar?
We definitely need the garbage, that information.
It's the first one on the list.
Right,
And-
yeah.
And I really did kick myself quite
That's one of the
thoroughly
main
early.
things that we gotta focus on there, so that's.
And for me.
Yeah, really just the garbage, a total square footage for the first floor, and then whatever square footage is being utilized in the basement.
And I'll probably walk the property to see what you were talking about for the garbage, because I just want, yeah, make sure.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
And if,
I think our next meeting is the 11th, is that right, Abigail?
That sounds right. Yeah,
11th and 25th. I believe I am around for both. Sorry, yeah, the 11th and the 25th. I'm around for either. Do we have
I-
quorum for either of those?
I will be around the 25th. I will not unfortunately be around the 11th.
Ben?
I should be for both.
Abigail, does the 11th give you enough time for everything, especially with the holiday weekend?
Oh, yeah, that's true, it's gonna be too tight. Because, yeah, maybe too tight. All right, let's go ahead and schedule for the 25th. Does that work for you guys?
yeah, jump to there. I was set to be in DC. Because I think I did this last time. Where I asked, can we try to do the publication faster so that the earlier date does work? I don't know if we succeeded last time. I did ask the favor last time.
right. So it wouldn't really be ideal. I'm not here the Tuesday after Labor Day. So whatever processes that would be needed, I don't think that would meet the 10-day deadline. So if you are open to 2 weeks after the 25th, if you're available then, but I am not going to be here September 2nd.
So that'll be October 9th.
I would be-
Oh, I'm gonna be in Boston.
Well, is there,
I would probably, so between the two, I would change my DC trip in some fashion. To make the 25th work rather than sliding the next 2 weeks, if we don't think we can submit and publish.
And I would just add too, you're welcome to attend remotely, or if there's somebody else that's able to attend.
Yeah, there's
Certainly
no
not have
requirement
to
for
be
you
there in person.
It's just for us.
yeah,
All right, so we'll schedule for the 25th. Because I think if we go into October, it sounds like we may be a month beyond the 25th.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
and we've had other applicants do it remotely. Yeah, so if that's what you have to do, it's
Okay.
really.
Yes, I have confidence that you will do a better job with your remote presentation than most other applicants.
I will try. Yeah, I teach a lot online, so like,
I will try to do well.
Okay, well, you know the drill, we'll get,
Has the sign, I actually did just find while cleaning my garage, the sign from the last one. Is it the same sign? Like the template hasn't changed and whatever. Okay, so I've already got the plastic, whatever we call that, kind of sign that I can put up. And then I think I will receive from you, instructions that include like you pulled the list of neighbors, I think, right? And then I've got my letter, I'll go do the signed receipt. All that. Yep. Okay. Any other, outside sort of technical board capacity? I'm curious if there is any other feedback or suggestion as community members.
I think I am curious, like, given the failed effort to make it a welcome center. Have there been any thoughts about usage of the space, even understanding that the primary use is for the restaurant here, to have like a community board or anything like that that gives space or some type of nod to that welcome dimension?
I think one of the things, so it's a great question. So I think the prior plan that I was trying to do with the, with the Welcome Center concept was to create, there were a few goals that I had that I think also lined up with village goals. One was to create a very good third space, right? This idea of outside home and outside work where people come together and intersect. I think this actually is achieving that.
Mhm.
A second was to create sort of large format space where people can gather from whether that is, hub classes or gatherings, or, learning how to use Narcan, or whether that is, community center, or it's the place that the kids, right now we all go get our candy at the bandstand, but maybe there's like a halfway point that also is past, so the like community use kind of spaces for classes, after school activities, that kind of stuff. That in this context is up to the tenant to whether they will do that. What I will say is that when I, first pivoted off the village welcome center concept, I had a tremendous amount of tenancy inquiries, as you can sort of imagine from this location of the village. And spent a lot of time sifting through, meeting a ton of people, and really, there were more lucrative offers sort of in businesses that I wouldn't want right on the main street of my village, as a resident, right? The business would have performed well financially and sold very fancy things to people that come and buy the very fancy things. But from a community perspective, it sort of like actually robs us of sort of one of the spaces that could be a third space, and it doesn't succeed at that. And I passed on all those, sort of tenancy things, and instead chose Ken and Angie. I think they've demonstrated, while their space is small, they're very engaged and very warm and very welcoming, and I think poised to be with a space that creates a platform. While I can't obligate them to it, I think they are the people that I've selected, and I think they are the people that would do the things that fit within their business and make sense, and bring residents and other people into their business. And then the last, sort of component of the welcome center was bathrooms, right? And sort of creating additional bathroom capacity. And while I was, as odd as it is to say, I was excited to solve bathroom problems for people, I was excited to solve bathroom problems for people. And I think that I'm sad that this building didn't become that. We sort of joked before of, when am I buying the next building or something like that. And I do have designs on buying some other buildings, and I have looked at and already had preliminary discussions around taking that same concept we looked at before and placing it in those buildings that would also similarly be able to help solve some of this. So I'm not a dog that lets go of a bone easily. I think it's a great idea for our community, and I still hope to be able to pull it together, but I can't enforce it fully into the tenant.
You're right. Well, I hate on Angie's behalf, that, they're given the location and the fact they do have bathrooms, they're gonna have to figure out what to do about that.
Well, I mean, it will to some degree, right? Like, it's almost like stormwater, like you wanna disperse where it's happening.
Yeah.
And then, with this being this kind of business versus, a dispensary, or versus a high art thing, or a jewelry, or a high fashion store, these kind of other things that aren't letting people come in and buy a sandwich and a drink and use the facilities. Instead, this is the kind of business that will happily say, yes, come in, here are our sandwiches,
Yeah.
here are our drinks, there are our bathrooms. Right?
Yeah.
And so it actually does still take there's a pun here, but the flow of people that need to flow, and it still disperses them into the. I keep remembering after I say these things that this is being recorded.
We have quite a big audience too.
And my thoughts, which is subjective, and you'll be honest, that you'll do whatever you like with the property.
Yeah.
Sure, two. One is, but while I'm always like about parking, because everyone always laughing, so I'm very about parking. I just sort of see there being tremendous potential in using that outdoor space for seating, or, and in terms of providing a public good, I think it, in my mind, it sort of would override, well, there's the safety issue, which I'm very concerned about. But then there's I think a fantastic opportunity to make a lovely space back there. It'd be a beautiful garden seating area, and what a great sort of, welcoming place. People have got off the train, they need to regroup, they go and get coffee, etc., or whatever it is. And then I just also want to say, and I did a comment to the folks at the Depot restaurant, and that is, I really appreciate you're obviously committing a tremendous amount of capital to this. It's a huge investment. I do similar things, and it's just, it's a very brave thing to do. So I really admire that you're taking this on and, you know, putting,
Thank you.
you know, so much, you know, time and effort and risk.
Yeah, I appreciate that, both. And I, on the second part, thank you. On the first part, I see that as well. I really see that. And perhaps in sort of the phase two, I'll sort of intentionally incorporate more of that as part of the plan. You know, to do that, to create intentional space back there, because for all the reasons you said, you know, I don't even beat them. I very much agree with that, see that vision as well. Cool. Yeah. Any
And
other?
you said currently there's a tenant that's on the second floor, and where's the entrance for that?
Same one, the,
It's the same entrance, they go in and then they just go up a stairwell?
Yeah,
okay.
it's a straight shot, I think.
yeah, correct, yeah.
So they'd be going in and out of Angie's business.
There's
there.
like a
Yeah, yeah.
secondary, yeah, there's sort of a vestibule there, but otherwise, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Any other questions, Josh? So there we go, yeah. So I think we'll go do the publication, I'll go do the letters, we'll put the sign up, sort of go through those processes on the 25th public hearing. I will attempt to adjust my travel schedule. I hope to be here with you in person. And if not, I'll be on.
It does not change, the likelihood of approval or, yeah, so don't stress yourself out about it.
Is there anything else that you anticipate or feel that I should I will very much, you know, partition it into two sections of commentary and discussion. Anything else that you anticipate that I could?
I wasn't sure if it was clear, the square footage of the basement, if you have a floor plan for the basement and
I will-
access,
yep, I
that
have
would
that
be
on.
valuable
Yep.
too, thank you.
Yep.
I
And
don't,
it doesn't have to be a detailed floor plan either.
just something to give us a sense of the space.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Sorry to keep the evening a little bit, but hopefully it'll be worth it when we get there.
Yeah. That's our reason for.
Thank you both.
Thank
you.
All right, thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
You
All
got
right.
it.
Like to make a motion to adjourn?
Did you guys motion to schedule the hearing?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay. I'd like to make a motion to schedule the public hearing for 37 Main Street on September 25th.
Second.
On there?
Aye.
Motion, adjourned.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Don. Everybody.
You got it. See you next month.